Hi, I'm Erik Linask, coming to you from Los Angeles at IT Expo. We're here day 2 of our 20th IT Expo, in fact. And I'm sitting here with Hunter Newby, who is the CEO at Allied Fiber. Hunter, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Erik.
Thanks for being here at the show.
Thank you.
So we were talking earlier a little bit about some of the different events here, particularly the 4G wireless evolution event. And how does all the activity in the wireless space impact what you guys are doing?
It's a good question, and that's actually an interesting dimension of TMC and IT Expo, incorporating 4G and the wireless dimension of the industry as we move forward. So what Allied Fiber is doing, putting fiber in the ground with a new long-haul system, complementing that a short-haul system, providing intermediate access to cell towers, is directly related to the rollout of any 4G or beyond, whether it's WiMAX or LTE or even microwave technologies for backhaul. The complementary nature of wireless and fiber is what I was here to speak about yesterday, and it was very well received. So, the integration of the two things and the understanding, I think, that's becoming more clear that wireless services, particularly the microwave backhaul aggregation from cell towers that don't have fiber back to towers that do have fiber, is something that's becoming understood.
You mentioned LTE, you mentioned WiMAX, so you really don't have a preference one way or the other. I mean, there's huge headbutting going on between the two technologies right now.
No, I don't have a preference. There are probably other things that are going to come out in the future, but at the baseline, what's required to create physical proximity and essentially unlimited scalable bandwidth is real estate. And that's a cell tower, that's a colo facility, and then that's also dark fiber. And those physical assets combined can support anything else in the higher layers of the stack, whether it's protocols and whatnot. So we've seen wave division multiplexing, we've seen Ethernet, we've seen IP, and now as we get into the wireless space, you're going to have lots of different competing things. WiMAX and LTE is just what's going on today.
So what kind of challenges are you guys facing in building out those connections?
Really, it's the challenge of meeting the demand and the timing, the market. The fact that Verizon's rolling out LTE next year and a lot of other people are rolling out, Clearwire's obviously doing their thing. And how are they going to get fiber to the towers? How are they going to backhaul all that high-speed broadband wireless to the major carrier hotel and data center interconnection points without fiber? And it'll be a combination of microwave aggregation and fiber, but there's always fiber at the core. And it's building a plan and executing on that plan and hitting the dates and the deadlines that work with the market. We're ahead of the market in terms of the concept, but in terms of actual construction delivery, the market will be there because they're starting to roll out first quarter of next year, they being Verizon, and others like Clearwire is already rolling out in certain markets. And in order for us to cover the whole country and for this services to become ubiquitous, we need to get fiber out to a whole lot more places, not just on Allied Fiber's network, but everywhere.
Is there going to be a problem keeping up with the game plan or the timing element of rolling out these new wireless networks?
Well, yes and no. It's always going to be sort of lumpy and spotty. There's this vast misconception that there's enough fiber out there already to serve everyone, and there really isn't. Systems that were built a decade ago don't have the intermediate access points and aren't tied into cell towers like our design is. So because of that sort of misunderstanding, there could be added delay. And no matter whatever the first time is that this fiber asset is available, that's when people will need it based upon what their rollout plans are. So if we're tying fiber potentially into a tower that they don't have slated for, as a market or as a region for their upgrade or development, so then there'll be a miss. But fortunately for us, we have our whole business model based on a long-haul system that can support the short-haul so that the intermediate access is there when the wireless and microwave guys get to their point in the plan where they can take advantage of the tower and fiber assets that we have. So it'll happen over time. It'll evolve. I expect it to be over the next couple of years.
That's a pretty good time frame. Is there any issue involved with migrating over from legacy over to the new fiber?
Well, no. The fiber that's existing in the ground today is in use largely. The carriers that have it obviously use it, and they sell lit services to other people that are running traffic on that. But there is a need now because there really hasn't been a long-haul system built for a decade, at least. In certain regions, there isn't any fiber, so there needs to be new, like in Tennessee, for example. So as and when it's put into effect, it'll become complementary to what's existing. It'll become a new diverse route. The new fiber, the new type of fiber that we're using obviously supports the 40 gig, 100 gig wavelength lasers that really the old fiber does not, etc. So there's a balance between the two in terms of diversity and the newness of the glass, and also the intermediate access points. It's not a challenge that, aside from the misconception, it's not a challenge that is going to keep us back from meeting market demand. Some people think that there's enough, and why does there need to be more? They should go out and ask the people that are looking for it why they're looking for it.
So when you get into things like the 40 and the 100G, can you still use that old fiber?
In most cases, no. It would require a lot of amplification sites, and then it sort of detracts from the reason why people are moving to the higher bandwidth speeds. The older the fiber, the less capable it is of carrying the higher density wavelengths without a whole lot of modification. So the cost of the new 100 gig networks on the old fiber, it takes away the advantage of packing in all that capacity into a single wavelength. It requires newer fiber types. I mean, they're new lasers.
Fair enough.
It's evolution.
What are the next steps from your perspective in terms of bringing this all to reality?
Well, I mean, we're moving through with our engineering construction in parallel with the completion of the financing of our phase 1 and our phase 2. It's on the table right now. We've applied for stimulus funds. Hopefully, that whole process works out well with the folks down in D.C. and the NTIA, the RUS, the FCC, and them understanding that absent a national broadband plan existing today, there is a logical sequential order of things that need to occur. And one of the first things that has to happen is there must be essentially, the highway system, and then you build the on-ramps and the off-ramps, and then the rural and metro networks can tie in, and those last-mile Wi-Fi, broadband, wireless networks and whatever actually have a way to backhaul to the major interconnection points. Building those last-mile broadband, wireless, and high-speed endpoint networks isn't much use without a means to interconnect them to each other and other, points of interest, points of where content resides and things of that nature, which, by the way, those sites are all defined. The major carrier hotel, data center, peering points are defined. It's a function of getting the remote areas connected back to them. So, we'll see how that all unfolds in our phase 3 out to the West Coast as well. We would like to, accelerate the plans and do it as soon as possible, because why deprive the rest of the country from what one area is going to have?
And I'm sure they'd agree with that.
Yes.
We've been talking here at IT Expo with Allied Fiber's Hunter Newby. Hunter, thanks for joining us, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you, Erik. Thanks a lot.